So a lot of people call me up and they just ask me point blank, okay, Seth, I've seen your videos, I love your stuff, whatever they have to say about what they've seen, and then they're still kind of unsure about what I can do to help them. And I get those calls, probably about once a week from somebody who says, I get the sense that I want you to help me, I just don't know what you can do for me exactly. And so what I did when I redesigned my website this last time around is I actually spent a lot of time figuring out how I can best simplify all of the things I do and organize that information in a way that is easy for you to follow when you're the end user coming in there and not necessarily, I have to assume you have no idea who I am or what I do. And so what I did, if you look across the top row on my website, you'll see it there, is the first two sections at the top are really the two major camps that I operate in. There's consulting and there's training. What's the difference? I think it's probably self-explanatory, but just in case, and you know what, I take that back. It's probably not always self-explanatory because there are certain things, as I say that, I'm sort of thinking out loud here, there are certain things that overlap between the two. So, you know what, instead of actually going into detail explaining what's in this camp, what's in that, let me explain to you more about the philosophy behind what I do and why I do it. And I should say probably why I do it, and then I'll talk about what I do. So why do I do it? What happened was years ago as a consultant, I was working for a fraction of what I charge now with a lot of different small businesses, and a lot of times they had a bookkeeper and I was just coming in there to help them, and what I realized is that really looked a lot more like training, right? That's not consulting to me, that's training. I'm helping the bookkeeper, I'm giving the bookkeeper guidance, the bookkeeper knows the basics, but maybe in that particular business there's some more complex transactions, and I'd be hired to go in there and we'd call it consulting. But again, what I found was that it was really training. What's more is I found that I really enjoyed that. I enjoy that more than what I would call the consulting, which is where I'm doing the work for you, and that's the way I can sort of, black and white, divide up the two camps, right? If I'm doing the work for you, it's consulting. If I'm showing you how to do it, it's training. Plain and simple. That's about as simple as I can make it. And I live in both worlds, but what I learned was that on the consulting side, it's not likely anybody's going to go from consulting to training. Because on the consulting side, they're going to say, well, that's what I pay you for. I don't need you to teach me how to do it. I should say on the other hand, the training does have the effect sometimes of feeding the consulting side of my business. Because a lot of times somebody will come in for training, and then halfway into the training, or some measure into the training, they will say, hey, you know what would it take for you to do this for me? So strictly for my own benefit, I realized that it makes more sense to me to focus on the training, because as I bring in more and more training business, it will feed the consulting side of my business. So if you have a business where you can sort of live in those two worlds, that would be one strong piece of advice I would give you based on my own experience, is focus on the training. A lot of training gigs will turn into consulting. It rarely goes the other way. But more importantly than that, is that I really enjoy the training much more than the consulting. I think I said that already. I'll probably say it 3 more times before this video is done, because it's true and because I feel strongly about it. So the question is why? Why do I like training better than consulting? I'll give you the selfish reason why first. The selfish reason is with training, I'm in, I get paid, I'm out, I'm done. There's really very little in the way of headaches. The worst headache I'll get after a training is I get backed up and don't get the video that I've recorded over to the client right away. So they email me saying, hey, where's that video? And that's not a headache. I'm just sort of saying really that's the most troublesome that it gets in that world. I have yet to have the situation, although I suppose it could happen someday, where somebody comes back and says, I really didn't feel I got value out of that training. At which point, again, no real headaches. I'll just refund the money. So that's the training side, and that's the selfish reason why I like it. The unselfish reason why I like it, and maybe I'm circling back now, that maybe it's still kind of selfish, is that it's much more gratifying to me to do the training. Why? Because when I do the training, usually I get direct and immediate feedback from somebody whom I've given very direct help to. And so that appreciation, that gratitude that they show me for what I've just done for them, it's very fulfilling to me. It fills me up inside. I walk away from that experience feeling so good about what I've done. Simply because I just finished with somebody and they've told me, Seth, this has been so helpful, thank you so much. And I know walking away from that experience that I'm not the cheapest guy on the block doing this stuff, but when I walk away and they've said something like that to me, what it's also saying, the underlying message is, it was worth every penny and more. And I get feedback to that effect more often than not from people. So that's why I love the training. Don't get me wrong, I love doing the consulting too, I'm just partial to the training. So that kind of hopefully gives you an idea of what I do. Now then the question is, okay Seth, that's great, I heard a lot of great conceptual stuff, you do consulting and training, in what? Well, the foundation of what I've always done since day one, of course, is accounting and bookkeeping. However, what has happened over time is that I have acquired other skills, mostly in the context of learning how to do things for my own business that I didn't want to go out and hire somebody else to do. Especially when I started out, I didn't have the money to hire somebody else to do it, so I had to do everything myself. So when it came to web design, at a certain point I did hire somebody, and frankly I didn't feel I got value. I felt like I overpaid by a long shot and still wound up with something that was less than what I really had hoped to have. So by that time, WordPress evolved, and I learned how to design websites in WordPress, and I've come to believe strongly and firmly that WordPress is the way to go for almost any business out there, for one simple reason to start with, and many more beyond, which is that once I set up a website for somebody in WordPress, you can go in there and make edits so easily. It's as easy as editing a Word document if you want to change a page. And in a 15-minute session, I can show you how to add a page. And probably in about an hour session, I can walk you through enough information about WordPress that you can be up and running substantially on your own once your site's initially set up. And probably in a few one-hour sessions, I can show you how to do it all. I can show you how to design your own website using WordPress, starting from setting up the hosting and ending with having the whole site laid out with all the pages and graphics and everything up and running. So that's another product or service, I guess you could say, that I offer, is training and consulting in WordPress. Again, everything that I do falls into both camps, because you can either hire me to do it for you, or you can hire me to teach you how to do it. And like I said, I prefer to teach you how to do it. Now here's the unselfish reason why I prefer the training. The unselfish reason why I prefer the training is because, to me, there's more value in that for you. Because it's like the old classic adage that says I can, how does it go? I can't remember. It's something like, give the horse the water and give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day, teach him how to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime. There's a million variations on the theme. You get the point. So if I can teach you how to do it, then you don't need to keep paying me or keep looking for somebody else to pay, in order to get the thing done for you. So that's the unselfish reason why. And, it's in a way, shooting myself in the foot, right? Because, you figure if I didn't teach you how to do it, you'd have to keep paying me. So if I wanted to be very selfish, I could say, well, I'm not going to teach anybody how to do it. I'm going to make them have to pay me to do it. But the truth of the matter is, and what I've experienced, is that if I teach you how to do it, and I do my job well, such that you don't need me anymore, then I've succeeded. And even if you truly never need me for anything ever again, I'm fairly certain you're going to want to tell other people about me and how helpful I was. And so I'd much rather turn you into part of my sales force of people that are out there telling other people how great it was what I did for you, than just have you coming back to me when you need it and reluctantly spending more and more money with me because you can't do it yourself. So again, another reason why I like the training better, and that's the unselfish reason. So, I think I've gone on long enough about this. Hopefully that's given you some insight into why I do what I do, and then what I do. And check back, because I'm sure I'll be doing more videos along these lines, explaining a little bit more about why I do, what I do, who I do it for, where I do it, when I do it, and I guess that's it. Have an absolutely spectacular day.